Hi, my name is Mike, and I'm here to read a comic. And today's comic is Action Comics, issue number 584, dated January 1986. I think the issue came out in 86, although um, the cover has 87. Okay, so we'll take a look at this. I'm not 100% sure. I think this was John Byrne's maybe first Action Comics. In, I think, 1986, John Byrne had moved from Marvel to DC, and he did so with the mission of basically kind of rebooting Superman for DC. I remember this was a huge event because John Byrne at that point was the man in terms of comic books. After his great run on X-Men, and then his solo run with the Fantastic Four. I think his Superman reboot generated kind of mixed reaction, even though I liked it. I think also John Byrne was probably a little crankier than usual when he came up with this story, because basically I read this story as John Byrne really hates comic book fans. And the villain here, I had always looked at him as an avatar for what John Byrne really truly thought about comic book fans. And all those geeky kids who would, give him $10 for his autograph, but also bug him with questions about the Phoenix. And I think he was also getting some pushback about some of the ideas that he wanted to do with Superman. But in my eyes, it was a successful run. See the cover here. Cover is a bit more graphic and a bit of a downer. We see Superman kind of drunk on power as he's choking Wonder Girl, and we see Cyborg and I think Chameleon Kid. I've always forgot what the green guy in the Teen Titans is. I'll figure it out in his book. They're knocked out for the count. Superman's taking a great deal of pleasure in brutalizing the team. And then in the background, we see our avatar for what John Byrne thinks of comic book fans. And it's this crippled, four-eyed, kind of geeky-looking guy. So it kind of tells you immediately that Byrne probably thinks most comic book fans are kind of these wimpy weaklings who are just way too nerdy. And this guy is really a despicable person. Okay, so I'm going to go into the book. It doesn't open with a traditional splash page. We see this some really nice art. John Byrne did a really great job. Also, Dick Giordano, who did the quote embellishing, which meant that he had to do a little bit more than just inking. Nevertheless, it's a really good job. He's a really nice scenic look at Metropolis. We sort of see this kind of Katie Curry type correspondent, probably doing a morning show, talking about how wonderful life in Metropolis is and how clean it is. And really talking it up. And then suddenly there's a commotion on the street because the people are looking up in the sky, asking if it's a bird or if it's a plane. And Katie is a little struck by what she sees. And it turns out it is Superman, a pissed off Superman, just randomly smashing buildings here. And the title of this story is Squatter. Okay, I'm going to look at the creative team. We have John Byrne, who's the storyteller. So he's the one who he came up with the story and he plotted it. Probably that was taking up a lot of his time. So I'm sure when Dick Giordano came in, he knew what to do. He's been in comics for decades. So he really kind of did a nice job finishing up this work. And Dick was a really good inker because he let the artist be the star. He didn't really impose his style too much. and he knew the assignment. He knew what John Byrne wanted, because John Byrne's very particular about, when his comics are out on that newsstand, how they look. See the colorist, John Costanza, the letterer, and we see the two creators of Superman, Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster. I'm sure it was part of the contract that, or settlement that they had made with these two, that their names are always listed as the creator of Superman. And so anyway, going back to the story, we see Superman. He's drunk on power. He's smashing buildings. And this is causing a great commotion. He's smashing into these other mid-sized towers, and he's just going through them. And of course, this is raining debris upon the people who are just kind of enjoying themselves. I think this part is supposed to be kind of a take on Metropolis's version of Rock Center. And then we see the debris coming down. We see some onlookers there who are seeing this, and they know those pedestrians are going to be in a lot of trouble. However, it turns out that one of the pedestrians is actually in a position to help, and it's Cyborg from the Teen Titans. So he's ready to do what he can do. And we see that he has to properly attach the right accessory to his arm to do what he wants. That I always found a little troubling with this character, how he had to kind of stop and kind of make these attachments with his superpowered accessories. So anyway, he uses a elongated hands. So he's kind of doing the Mr. Fantastic thing. Then he's climbing up. But as he's climbing up, he has to worry about the debris coming down. So he's using his sonic disruptor to sort of basically turn any debris into harmless dust. And then Cyborg is climbing up the side of one of the buildings to see what's going on. Because I believe he had met Superman once before, but it seemed like a short meeting. Cyborg, he reaches the roof and he sees Superman. He's still drunk on power. He is playing the evil god to the hilt here. He's enjoying the fact that the people downstairs are just running like scared little ants. He thinks they're absolutely nothing to him, other than pitiful ants. And yeah, he's definitely drunk on his own power here. It's not the best drawing of Superman, I have to say here, though. So anyway, Cyborg's taking notice, trying to get Superman's attention. He's not listening, and as Cyborg says, he's tripping out on his own power, and that he's drunk on it. So anyway, Cyborg decides that he's going to make Superman notice him. So he grabs some sheeting from the roof that he's on. He flings it, and he hits Superman right in the back. This turned out to kind of piss off Superman for a couple of reasons. One, because he was enjoying himself there, and also he was saying, "Who the hell would attack me? Me, Superman." And the guy who's answering that back is Cyborg, and he's trying to calm Superman down, trying to de-elevate the situation. And Cyborg said, "Hey man, I'm here to help." Superman is saying that he doesn't need any help from any insolent fools. He immediately tears the thing that Cyborg threw at him right in half. Then he goes straight for Cyborg, and he's making it clear he's going to murk him right here and there. And he's using words like "you'll rule the day" and so forth. So he's sounding very much like a comical supervillain who has been reading too many comic books and is just simply repeating the dialogue. So I guess he's kind of saying that, as I said, our villain is an avatar for what John Byrne thinks is comic book fans. Right now, the villain is Superman, though we find out later that kind of changes. But right now, the villain Superman, and he's sort of using this kind of like comic book language and being overly dramatic. So that kind of gives you the first little hint on what John Byrne thinks of comic book fans. So then, or in my opinion, so Superman smashes into Cyborg. Cyborg, we're seeing this from Cyborg's point of view. He doesn't understand what's going on with Superman here. Then Superman, just impressed with his own power, he rips off Cyborg's cybernetic arm right off, and then he's just kind of just pushing him around and just beating him up. He's asking Cyborg to beg for mercy that he doesn't plan on giving Cyborg, and at this point, Cyborg knows he's in a lot of trouble. Superman, again, is being very dramatic as he's taking out all his anger and frustrations out on Cyborg here. You can hear some of the language that Superman's using. Gives you the type of idea of the mind of the villain. Can you feel it yet, Cyborg? Can you feel your life slipping away? Feel how helpless and trapped you are inside a body that grows steadily weaker, and that grows more and more useless with each passing moment. So this guy has a lot of issues, even though he's currently renting Superman's body. Cyborg, he has to get a way out. He has to find a way out of this, because right now he's taking a beating, and he's able to fire a laser right in between Superman's eyes, and this sort of caught him off guard. So Superman's momentarily blinded. However, he lashes out on Cyborg blindly. Again, he uses interesting language. He yells at him, "Animal, I'll kill you now." I think that's similar language that Magneto used in X-Men 112, I think. Also, you just get an idea that the villain here is really despicable. There's just no empathy whatsoever in him. And so Superman, he grabs Cyborg at this point. Cyborg's crippled because his cybernetic leg and his cybernetic arm were ripped off. And he's telling Cyborg that he should just say goodbye to everything. And Cyborg is immediately thrown off the side of the building. He has to figure out a way of saving himself and doing it fast. Luckily, he's able to grab onto part of the building facade, and basically he's holding on and he's scratching it, trying to slow his descent. He probably sounds like somebody whose nails are on the chalkboard right now. And Cyborg's able to slow down his descent enough that he can survive the fall, although he makes it clear that it's a painful fall for him. Cyborg realizes that he's outmatched at this point, and he needs to contact the rest of the team. However, Cyborg is also kind of a little bit of a handicap here, as he's hopping around on just one leg and with one arm. However, he sees a payphone, and that is his savior, 1980s technology. So anyway, we go to the Teen Titans headquarters. They still had that silver building with the T, even though the comic had been rebooted at this point. We see Changeling, I think that's what he's called. We see Changeling and Wonder Girl. It turns out the Teen Titans do have kind of a hotline for people to call, and it seems like Changeling is not really taking it seriously, so people are calling in. He just seems to be kind of playing around. Wonder Girl, I should say. Wonder Girl does not like this. She dresses Changeling down, and she's complaining about him being too much of a jokester, and that he kind of goes off too much and doesn't take things seriously. Changeling, he's not apologetic about it. He's saying, "Listen, hey babe, this is how I am." However, the Teen Titans signal goes off. And this is when that usually goes off when there's real trouble. And Wonder Girl is being informed about the battle between Cyborg and Superman. So she's taking the call at this moment, and apparently she's already declaring this a red alert, a super red alert. So these two go off into action. We go back to the scene of the fight. Superman 2 obviously saw Superman 2. And he's picking up a bus and he's about to toss it at Cyborg. Actually, I don't think he's tossing it at Cyborg. He's just daring some heroes to come out. So he just sort of wants to assert his dominance over, the DC universe. Changeling encounters Superman. He turns into a large, oversized elephant here. Whenever Changeling changes into another form, he always remains green. Superman is thrown off guard here. One of the things that John Byrne did was that John Byrne did depower him to kind of give him more challenges and to sort of set straight, okay, Superman, he's really more on maybe a little higher than Thor, but not much more. Superman, while he's inconvenienced by what Changeling did, he's not really harmed by him either. And we see him fighting back. Again, the evil Superman, I guess we can call him, he's kind of using this kind of silly cartoon language. And he's being very melodramatic. So he grabs Changeling by the nose. I don't know what they call it. Anyway, he grabs the elephant, the Changeling, and he just throws him off. Sorry, the gummies are kind of kicking in. The Changeling, he realizes that he's outmatched and he's really hurt. So he's not joking at this point. Superman, he's not impressed with the Teen Titans at this point either, saying that he needs a real challenge, not these kind of like clowns here. We see Superman, close up, he's raging, saying that he's disappointed with the quality of opponents that he's been facing. And once, and one of them steps up and says, "Listen, I may call myself a girl, but I can show you something or else." So anyway, Wonder Girl shows up. She's joining the fight. She picks up someone's car. Well, I hope he has insurance for this. And she lifts the car overhead. She slams it directly on Superman. And initially, she's surprised on how easily Superman was defeated, because Superman at this point is not making any movement. So Wonder Girl is kind of going in, checking the car out, kind of gingerly, but she is getting closer to it. And she's thinking to herself, she's speaking out loud, because as we mentioned, the heroes think out loud, and the villains talk to themselves. So Wonder Girl is thinking out loud that it couldn't have been this easy. And then she notices some water coming out from the cement under her, and immediately smashes through the sidewalk, and it totally catches her off guard here. Superman here, he's using the hose to sort of keep Wonder Girl off the ground. He's referring to her as an inferior creature. Yeah, and definitely he's talking about the gender here. Wonder Girl is really pissed off here that, it's kind of mentioning that this is, women's liberation has happened here. So, keep your 1953 talk to yourself. And she attempts to use her magic lasso against Superman. And then she uses her physical abilities to tie the lasso around Superman. Now, Wonder Girl is saying, listen, this is, it was called a magic lasso at one point, and we know Superman, he has no defense against magic. So they might have taken out the magic lasso and just sort of, and they're just sort of using it, saying it's just more scientific based, saying that they're really super strong polymers here, and these things should hold you. And then we're cut to a scene of another hero, and this is the hero called Jericho. I don't really remember Jericho that much, honestly. Outside of this issue, I think I may have seen him one or two other times. Apparently, he is deaf, and he's here with some children at a children's school for the deaf. So this is sort of like an outreach program, that Jericho's involved with, kind of letting these deaf kids know that you may be deaf, you can still be a superhero though. So it kind of looks really nice here. It kind of looks like the principal kind of looks like Barack Obama here. However, they hear over the radio that that there's a fight going on between Superman and the Teen Titans, and that the Teen Titans are really taking it on the chin. I think at this point Jericho was a member of the Teen Titans, or at least he was associated with them. And he's able to understand the news report that's coming over. I'm not quite sure how, but he's able to understand it. Because I don't think radios are that effective for people who can't hear. However, Jericho understands what's going on, and he's signing to the principal and the teacher that he's going to help or die trying. So Jericho takes this superheroing thing very seriously. So we go back to the fight. We see Cyborg. He's now back in the action. However, he's missing a leg and he's missing one of his arms. And he knows that, he wants to help, but he knows he's a little bit limited at this point. However, he might have to do something based on the way Superman's behaving here. And what he has Wonder Woman by the throat, and he's picking her off the ground. So at this point, Wonder Woman is really helpless. It looked like the lasso didn't help that much. He was able to snap it. And now he's talking. He's really talking really creepy and really incelish. And he's basically threatening to SA Wonder Girl at this point here. And he's talking about how all the beautiful women around the world would kind of like mock and reject him. I doubt he met all of them. So at this point, there's a lot of projection going on here. There's a lot of incel energy at this point. So this is like really creepy Superman here. So Cyborg knows he has to do something here, or something really bad is going to happen. And he's doing the best he can in trying to jump Superman from behind. And he's successful. He catches Superman off guard, and this makes him release Wonder Girl. So at least Wonder Girl's out of this danger for the moment. Superman looks, he's only mildly inconvenienced at this point, because even a healthy Cyborg was no match for Superman, much less one that's handicapped like this. And Superman is just determined to murk this guy. That's all he wants to do. And he's just at this point, he's just throwing punches, but nevertheless, at some point, one of those punches is going to land. And then Superman's immediately hit by something. I'm not quite sure what it is. And it turned out to be Jericho. And Jericho arrived. I think Jericho maybe had a cupcake from the school, and he kind of took it with him, because that's what it looks like he threw. So anyway, Superman's not familiar with Jericho, but nevertheless, because he's been having such an easy time with everyone else, he's kind of figuring that this guy is not going to be much of a problem with his pirate shirt on and everything. And then it turns out the two make eye contact, and this is enough to activate Jericho's powers. And Jericho's powers is that he could enter and take control of another person's body. Although the person that he's basically possessing, they would still have their mental facilities, and they would still be able to speak out. But at the same time, it would be Jericho who's controlling the muscle action. And so then they're going to see whether this would be effective against Superman. And it turns out it is. Because immediately Superman, his body posture is straight as an arrow. He's complaining that someone is in his body. So again, this is Jericho's powers. He doesn't have mental control over the host, but he has physical control. So at this point, Superman's not going to be fighting them. However, they're still concerned about this issue because one, Superman's an alien, so Jericho's powers may not work as they normally would work on a human being. Also, Superman's very powerful, and they're figuring at some point Jericho may slip in some way, and then Superman could take control of the body. And they also mentioned that simply having Jericho inside Superman's body 24/7 isn't a solution at all. So they don't know what to do with Superman at this moment. You know, they're aware of two things that Superman has problems with. That's kryptonite and magic. And they're saying, listen, none of our power sets have that. However, there's a voice from the crowd who says that you don't have to worry about that. I can tell you how to deal with this guy right now. And it turns out to be this very frail, nerdy kind of individual, but he's the one claiming that he's Superman. And of course, the next page will make it clear what exactly was going on. So anyway, we see the members of the Teen Titans. They're flying off. Obviously, Superman can fly, and Jericho can access that power. Superman's also holding the frail body that is containing his real mind. Wonder Girl, she also has the power of flight. And we see Changeling, he has changed into a large bird, and he's taking care of Cyborg. And of course, Jericho's in Superman's body. So all the Teen Titans are here. And Superman, in his new frail body, is explaining what happened. He said that he had gotten a call from a Mr. Gunther who came up with an invention that would really help mankind, but he would like Superman's assistance in this. Clark didn't do his due diligence. He kind of accepted this call on good faith, and then he shows up as Superman at this place. So he's talking to the scientist that was over the phone. His name is David Gunther. And he's also claiming to be an amateur scientist. So he's kind of like, he's not even a real scientist. This is an amateur scientist. Kind of like the way John Byrne would think of comic book fans is like, you're just amateur comic historians. And so anyway, the two are talking. Superman likes what Gunther had told him over the phone about his invention. And he still has a few questions. Gunther's saying, all your answers are going to be inside. And then what happened is that there was kind of like a body reversal. So basically, the consciousness of Superman entered the body of the frail body of David here. And of course, David's consciousness went into Superman's. So it was sort of like that mind-body switch. So evil Superman was actually really just David um, you know, in Superman's body. David is a real asshole, and I have no doubt that's what John Byrne thinks of most comic book fans. Because what he does is that he throws Superman, who's in his old body, he throws him into this storage unit, and he basically says, you know, in a couple of days I'll come back with some food and water. So, and he makes it clear that he doesn't see Superman escaping this, and he's just kind of wanting to torture him. And then we see this Superman, this is what he's recounting of what happened. But he points out that he was able to escape this storage room because, you know, during his years of crime fighting and kind of hanging around Batman, he kind of learned how to pick some locks. So he was able to pick the lock. And then when he heard the commotion over the radio about the fight with Superman and Teen Titans, he kind of went to the where the battle was, you know, taking place, and the rest is, you know, played out here. Wonder Girl is asking whether Superman is sure that this body reversal will work. But Superman's pretty sure. He's like, listen, the guy who drew this comic, they're paying him a lot of money, and they're not gonna, you know, knock me off in just one issue. So anyway, we see that Superman in the body of David and the Jericho-controlled Superman, which still houses David's consciousness, they're both walking toward the device that David created, and they turn it on, and of course, you know, everything is back to the way it should be. Superman is in his proper body. Jericho can leave Superman's body now. And we see David, he's back in his old body, and he's very embittered about this. And then Superman takes a moment to lecture David, saying that, listen, you're a whiny little shit, but in reality, you really should accept responsibility for your problems. And listen, you may have been dealt a rotten hand, but you know what? You should have helped yourself and become a better person to try to overcome it. Superman mentions other people who have overcome incredible handicaps, such as Helen Keller, Douglas Badger, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, and a few others. He also mentions Jericho, saying that, you know, the fact that he can't speak didn't stop him from being a hero. I think I had it wrong. Jericho was at the school of the deaf, but I don't think Jericho was deaf. I think he was mute. So that's what confused me. However, Superman, he ends the story by telling him, listen, David, however, you know, you were given great power, and you just were a thug, a power-hungry thug. And it's not really your body that cripples you, it's your mind. And you're a fucking douchebag. So that's how the story ends. And I always kind of read that as basically, this is what John Byrne thinks of comic book fans. Okay. So we cut to, I think, Paris. And we see Lex Luthor here. Yeah, Lex Luthor was set up to be kind of the, obviously the nemesis of Superman, but less evil scientist and more kind of corrupt businessman. And Lex Luthor is kind of making note that ever since Clark Kent came to town, he tends to get the big scoops and not Lois Lane anymore. And he's noticing that usually when Superman is being reported on, it's usually Clark Kent who's breaking the story. And we see in the paper here that it says Superman exonerated. They mentioned the mind switch thing, and the Teen Titans are okay. So that's kind of just a little signal that, you know, this storyline is ending. Okay, so it ends with Lex kind of thinking, what connection is there between Clark Kent and Superman? And I think there is a letters page. There is a letters page, but there's no letters. I think this is basically John Byrne kind of laying out his vision for Superman and what he plans on doing. And he's talking about using the Green Lantern and the Green Lantern Corps. I think Superman also wanted to reset the bar. Not Superman, John Byrne. I think John Byrne wanted to reset the bar for DC. And like, not only is he resetting it for Superman, saying, okay, this is how Superman is going to be from this point on. He's also sort of, I think, trying to tinker with the other heroes and trying to establish them in his vision, and then the other writers or editors were supposed to take note of that, because during this run of Action Comics, Superman was constantly teamed up with other members of the DC universe. I remember they brought the Legion in. I thought that was a pretty good issue. There's also another issue with Mr. Miracle. I'll take a look at. So yeah, so that's about it. And that is my review of Action Comics, issue number 584. And I hope to have more reviews soon. Or is it issue 585? One of them. And I hope to have more reviews up soon. Bye.